Hello there. My name is Chris Kerswell and I form part of the solution engineering team here at Redgate Software. And today I want to go through one of the new features we have brought when you're using SQL Clone and SCA together to enable better database development work to happen. It's something I'm really excited by, and so the purpose of this video is to show you how to set that up and to give you a quick look at it working. Essentially, the idea is that we're using clones to enable our developers to work, well, with production-like copies of the database as early as possible. But the brainwave that we had, or one of our developers had, is why can't we use this to quickly spin up copies in case you want to switch branches? So we've done just that. We've implemented essentially Git hooks to enable you to very quickly switch between different clones, and so those clones are linked to different branches, so that you can more efficiently work in that manner if you so choose. I'll show you how to set it up, and I'll give you a brief run through as well. All right then, let me jump into the virtual machine I'll be using. For this, I have SSMS, and I've got the SCA plugin installed in there. And I'm going to be working off this Voice of the DBA project. So you can see the actual databases that I'm using down here. That's my Voice of the DBA dev environment. Of course, we've got the shadow, and then I've got some testing and then eventually the production environment. Okay then, so how do we get this set up? Well, it's a bit of a boring answer, I guess, but quite simply, we've got the documentation page available. It goes through and shows you the step-by-step process. I'm going to go through this, obviously, of course. I'm not going to just ask you to read the documentation, but if you do want to see that, I'll put the link in the video below. Okay, so we've got the documentation link, and essentially there are two key components that we need from this page. One is the post-checkout script. You can see that right here. And then that actually links a separate PowerShell script, this clone branch.ps1, and that is listed below. So this PowerShell script is what actually enables me to do this. Once again, you can find the link for that on GitHub below if you'd rather, or you could just copy and paste this out. So I've done just that, and I've put that into my Git hooks folder. So here is my local working folder, and in my Git folder structure, I've got the hooks folder. And so in here, we've got my clone branch.ps1. And then you can also see I've got this post checkout hook. So the post checkout hook calls upon that PowerShell script. Have a look at the script itself. So this is the live script. So you configure it quite simply at the top. We have the database name. So there is my dev database. You can see that right there. And the connection information for the clone server itself, along with the actual instance I'm using, or the server I'm using and the instance I'm using. And then we have the image that I want to use as well. And then the final piece is that I do, of course, have a clone that I'm using, this voice of the DBA underscore dev clone. This is what my SCA project is actually pointed to, and this is what my development self is working off of effectively. Okay, so I'm going to work again off of this database right here, this voice of the DBA underscore dev database. And specifically, I want to come to the version control tab. This is where we would run pulls, push, commits, and so on. But we also have the option to actually switch branches here. So quite simply, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the drop down from master, and I've created this test branch. So just a dummy branch. And I'm going to select this, and let's see what happens. So first of all, I guess the easiest way to see what's going on is by jumping back into the clone interface. And we can see that there's been a little bit of manipulation behind the scenes, and now I've got another clone that's sprung up. If I go to my activity log, you can see what's actually happened here. So you can see these two lines. I've renamed my dev database to be that master and then created that dev database that's good to use. And if we come back to my database list in SSMS, I'll refresh that list and we'll have a close look at what has actually happened. So before I just had my dev and then I had my shadow database. Now I've got this master database. So the clone that I was just working off of, that's been renamed to that master underscore Redgate copy. The database that I'm currently working on now, I've switched branches, that is linked to that test environment or that test branch is going to be the dev database. So it's renamed or created a new dev database and renamed that master. And then I could do whatever work I was going to, check that code in. And if I want to switch back to my original branch, go back to master. Once again, I'm going to have a look at my activity log. And you can see those two activities that have happened right at the top. Come back to my database list, refresh that. Okay, so now the master has disappeared and it's replaced by my test branch. But again, the dev environment is still there and ready to use. That means, because none of the names have actually been changed, that the connection within the SCA plugin remains accurate, which means we can very easily switch branches, do the work we need to do, check that in without having to run through the reconnection within the actual plugin itself every time. Okay, so that was a quick look at how we can set up the branch switching feature using Clone and SCA. Again, a great bit of functionality that comes from having Clone available to us and that ability to spin up those databases very quickly, very easily. I can effectively do that with basically terabyte databases, and I'm free to do whatever development I need to in those separate branches. I don't need to worry about them conflicting with each other. If you've got any questions about that, please feel free to let me know. Of course, you can do that by firing me an email directly, find me on LinkedIn, or just visit the Redgate website, of course. Alternatively, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope you found that useful. All the best.